people at high levels within the military that soldiers are not going to be shooting at people that might throw a rock or anything else, frankly. If somebody arrives at the border and starts firing at any of our people on this side, that's a different matter. I don't recall that happening ever, frankly. But again, these are strange times and strange things are being said.
Now, shifting over to these tariffs, what's your gut feeling on it? And the reason why I say it, because I didn't even know there was a TV manufacturer left in the United States. I thought the last company making TVs was like 30 years ago. It was Curtis Mathis. And it found out there was a company down south that was still making TVs. And they virtually had to lay everybody off and go out of business because of the tariffs. They got to the point where it was not economical to continue on. What's your feeling with this tariff? If it continues on, what's it going to do to us?
Having neglected to get a PhD in economics, I can not say much other than the matter of tariffs is extremely complicated, and a PhD in economics is probably almost required to truly understand how that works and what comes from policy changes there. And naturally, there's a very limited number of people in the United States that have PhDs in economics. That said, it is my view as a citizen, just a relatively well-informed citizen, that the entire tariff matter is about 98% politics and 2% economics. And so that makes it, on its face, questionable, if not bogus.
Well, I'm just worried what it's going to do to our economy coming the first of the year. If it doesn't get resolved, I got a funny feeling we're going to go into a recession a lot sooner than we expected, because, I mean, with the feds raising the interest rates and continuing wanting to, and then with the tariffs, I was talking to you about a month ago, the guy that owns a chain of auto parts stores, and I hate to say it, a lot of the parts that you buy for your car, guess where they come from? China. And he's concerned because now it's getting to the point where, people come in, especially the middle class people, are getting shocked right now because they can't buy rotors for their cars no more for $59. They're spending $300 and some dollars. I mean, it's going to start affecting people in the pocketbooks, and I'm just worried. Not just that. I think it's also pushing the political climate, like with China and everything else. Is this pushing us more into a Cold War?
Look, the list of things that could potentially go to hell in a handbasket if the current situation is not resolved is a very long list, and you could spend months on that and never get a night's sleep. All I can say is that I believe things will resolve fairly soon, and afterwards we can start looking at these matters. But I don't try to invest too much time and try to speculate what could happen down the line if this issue isn't resolved. The crisis, I prefer to focus on the resolution of that crisis and its prospects, and then hopefully then we can talk about these things. But right now, I'm afraid it's just going around in circles. But there is, as I stated, a Category 5 political hurricane raging over the country. And if you've ever walked out in a Category 5 political hurricane, there's not a lot you can do, assuming you survive. And so you bunker in place, keep the windows, stay away from the windows, and try to do something constructive until it passes. So again, I can't much say too much about this, and we're kind of getting into some minutiae here.
I know.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff here where you could go on about this, but I mean, it's not time yet.
Now, what can the listeners do? Is there anything they can do to Congress to try to get more disclosure on UFOs and contacts and things like that? Because I get a lot of people when they call in. That's the one thing they're really frustrated. They want closure. They want more information. I know we already talked about it, but is there something that the average person can do to put a little bit more heat on Congress and the government to open up a little bit more?
There's no way to reach the Congress on this matter at this point. Simply not possible. There's just a tiny little bit that took place for a while, but that's not going anywhere for a while. No, it's just don't even bother until the storm has passed. The best thing I could suggest to your listeners is to start thinking about disclosure, start thinking about how they're going to react to it when it comes, because it could come soon, and what kind of role they want to play after the announcement has been made, and contemplate that in all the detail they wish. It will be a paradigm shift of unprecedented magnitude, and a lot of things will change, though necessarily right away, and just start putting themselves in the post-disclosure world, mentally, psychologically. That would be a useful thing. If they want to support the disclosure advocacy movement, ParadigmResearchGroup.org has got a contribution page. I share you in a GoFundMe as well. But look, if people such as myself who've been in this for 20, now I have some researchers out there, they just keep writing books, and that's cool. You just keep writing books, put them out. I haven't written any. I should, probably will soon. But in terms of the activists, I mean, we're bunkered down. There's not a lot we can do. Even the Two Stars Academy, which raised between $1 and $2 million, and has some pretty high level people on it, are limited in what they can do. So again, the best advice I can offer is you want to read about the ET issue. There's 80 billion pages online and thousands of books that have been written, and one can educate themselves and become a little more familiar with it. And any education on the subject pre-disclosure is useful. When disclosure comes, when the announcements are made by the heads of states and nations. That's about the best advice I can give right now, Gary.
Yeah, but are we in a situation where it could be another 5, 10, 20 years before it comes out? Or do you think it's going to be much sooner?
I'm optimistic for next year, 2019. I've written about that. If you go to ParadigmResearchGroup.org and you go to the Disclosure Wire, which is a link at the top, and just read the latest white paper, I guess, because I've written on it. You can get a lot of information about that.
Now, you mentioned you've been in Russia and a few other countries. How open are they about, strange things coming and visiting our planet? Are they more open to their public than our country is?
The ET presence is known worldwide. There's no country that doesn't have people, a substantial number of people around that are fully aware of it. It is virtually a global issue. It's almost universally known. The idea of the UFO is 100% market penetration. Just about. I suppose there are a few people living in the center of the Amazon, but the idea of disclosure is now taking on substantial currency. It's more important than the UFO. The era of UFO is over. It's been over for some time. It's all about disclosure right now. I'll be speaking at the Alien Con event, the third one, I think. They had one in San Francisco. They had one in Pasadena earlier this year, and now it's Alien Con Baltimore. This is the event that's backed by History Channel, A&E, and heavily promoted on ancient aliens, and is centered around ancient aliens. That's the connection. I think they had 25,000 in San Francisco, about 15,000 in Pasadena. We don't know what to expect in Baltimore. Could be a large turnout, 10 to 20, 25, who knows. It goes on for 3 days. There's a whole lot of speakers, a whole lot of events. It'll be at the Baltimore Convention Center. Starts Friday.
That is very
9 to 11. If you go to the website, thealiencon.com, or just Google search AlienCon, and you look at the schedule, very, very extensive schedule. There's like, God, I don't know how many dozens of presentations. And you do a word search on it. because it's filled with information and write-ups and everything else. You do a word search on it, the full schedule, which comes up for the Alien Con. The UFO acronym is mentioned 12 times. Disclosure is mentioned 22 times. And so now we're in the age of disclosure, or what I call the age of exopolitics. And people are no longer motivated, or even, I say motivated, they're no longer surprised by sightings or stuff. They don't even report them anymore. That's why sighting reports have gone down. What they're excited about is the announcements coming, and they smell it, and they think it's close.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, you wouldn't be surprised how many people on my show, I mean, they just counting down, the days, the months, when it's going to happen. Now, one thing, too, Michael W. Hall, he's my Saturday host on Night Dreams Network. Now, he has been contacted, I guess, by the History Channel. I could be totally wrong, but they're coming out with a show. It's called Project Blue Book again. And he's going actually on the 15th to the premiere in the theater, where they're taking groups of special people to review, the show, at least one of the episodes, to get their feedback on it. And it's kind of good to see something like that back on.
Well, like back on, I mean, this is a new show. It's a Robert Zemeckis-backed drama series on History Channel about Blue Book.
Oh, yeah.
It's extraordinary. It starts on January the 19th on History Channel. There is another show being put together on Rendlesham Forest. This will be, I think, a series. This simply reflects the fact that there are tons of people in Hollywood and in the entertainment industry and television industry that have been aware of the extraterrestrial presence forever. And they sense that things are heading towards a resolution, and naturally they want to get in and start making lots of money, and I'm sure they will.
Well, you know what I noticed? I got back, I was retired, and my friend Art Bell's the one that taught me, to get back on radio. And he kept telling me back here about 14 months ago, he goes, things are going to change about UFO talk. It kind of faded out for a while. If you go on Facebook, you go on all the media, it was for so many years lately, it's been ghost hunters and things like that. And not so much, UFO or, contact or anything like that. And it's strange. On my show, I talk about it quite often, and I have a huge feedback every time I talk about it. I mean, the people just eat it up. If I get somebody on the show and they're talking about ghost hunting, I don't even get feedback from anybody.
Yeah, look, the extraterrestrial issue is all over media. It's all over film. It's all over television. It's everywhere. It's spreading like crazy. It has been for some time. News show, I mean, the documentaries. It's ubiquitous. I can assure you, it's on the up. It's growing. Ancient Aliens is in its 13th season. 13 years. Most successful show on the subject ever. So, again, it ain't going backwards, it's going forward. The only thing that has prevented disclosure from happening is not only the entrenchment of the truth embargo in a lot of graybeards who, old school, who just can't quite let it go, but also just a cascade of historical developments which have intervened. The politics since '91, extremely complicated. But other nations have taken actions, and they're releasing information, and the support of the truth embargo by our allies has dropped off dramatically. At any time, there's a number of nations the head of state could make the announcement. It doesn't have to be the president of the United States.
No.
Once a head of state of a developed country, a significant country, makes the announcement, the rest of the heads of state will have to follow within days. So we're on it. At any moment, disclosure can happen. That it hasn't happened 27 years since the end of the Cold War is remarkable and incredibly frustrating, particularly for me. Well, I say particularly for me because been focused on this issue exclusively to all other things for 22 years, so it's a little bit long. However, I can assure you that political activists pursuing major issues in